Hey there, this is Logan Crockett with Full Circle Music. I am coming to you from our recording studios here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are here today to answer your questions about the music industry. You guys asked us how to become a songwriter, and I've got some ways that you can do that. So first of all, when people ever ask us around Full Circle Music that particular question, my initial response is always, well, what exactly do you mean by, quote, become a songwriter? Do you legitimately want that to be your career and that to be your life, songwriting pretty much 5 days a week and making your living through songwriting? Because that's one kind of a songwriter. And then there's another kind of a songwriter who writes songs. It's similar to, like, you could be a poet without being a career poet. You can be a painter and really good at painting things without making your living from painting. So in a similar sense, songwriting is an art form. I think most of the time when people ask this question, they lean more on, like, how do I become like a real songwriter who's doing it as a career? But if you're more on the side of, hey, I just want to learn how to write awesome songs, then I would definitely encourage you. It's really, my advice there isn't too complicated. I would encourage you to do some research, and by research, I mean get some songwriting books, watch some YouTube videos on songwriting. We'll link to some really great resources down in the description below for you to check out. But yeah, do some research, and the most important thing then is to write a song. With this whole video series that we're doing, we have 100 questions that we're answering, and one of our questions was, how do I write a song? And so we'll definitely link to that in the description below, which goes more into the full fleshed out process of how to actually craft a song for the first time, if you're brand new to it. But yeah, regardless if you're brand new or just wanted to get better, there are a lot of materials out there, and like I said, we'll make sure that we got some of the good stuff right down in the description. But past that bit of advice, if you really want to make songwriting your career, like if you want to do it professionally, there are definitely a lot of things to consider. The first thing to think about that I 1000% recommend is that you practice. Please practice. When it comes to being really, really good at, like, an instrument, so often people people understand in their minds that they need to practice, that in order to get really, really good at a musical instrument, you have to have hours and hours of practice to be, like, really, 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 really good. I mean, a lot of people can be amateur-ish and play decent stuff after, a year of taking, some lessons here and there. But to be really, 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 really good, really, really, really pro, you just have to have an insane amount of practice. There's that 10,000 hours to be an expert rule. How true that is very questionable. But definitely a lot of pro musicians have practiced for over 10,000 hours. And I bring that whole idea up very specifically because, like, in this musical culture that we have, a lot of people understand that when it comes to playing an instrument, you have to practice a whole lot. But for some reason, when it comes to the skill of songwriting, people just somehow assume that, like, they have this great song idea, they kind of play it out a little bit, it sounds sort of good, and they're like, man, I just wrote the next radio hit, someone work with me. And the reality is, very occasionally, I mean, songwriting is very inspirational on that level, and I guess, a little similar to poetry maybe, like you could just happen to write a really good poem as one of your very first poems. But, if you think of any of the great poets of our time or past times, they've written a lot of poems in order to get to where they are. And the same thing is true for songwriters. The songwriters who are professional and are doing it in this industry have written so many songs. And I don't want anyone to think about that from the sense of, oh, they wrote all these songs that were failures, and now they finally wrote some songs that actually, like, worked and had some commercial success. Like it's not about getting through a whole bunch of failures in order to get to the success, but rather it's a method of practice. If you want to be a professional in the film industry, hopefully you've just made an absurd amount of videos on your own. And it doesn't really matter what happened with those videos. It's all just about learning how to take different shots at different angles and figure out lighting and how to deal with actors and all that kind of thing. And in the same way, songwriting, the best way to practice songwriting is to write songs. And I cannot stress enough that if you really, really want to be a songwriter, you have to practice. And so that means just typically in the industry, we work with tons and tons and tons of songwriters. And there are exceptions, but almost universally, almost every songwriter either has just an insane musical background or has just written literally hundreds of songs before they ever got their first publishing deal, or before they ever got their first major cut, or before they ever got a song on radio. Literally hundreds of songs. And if you write songs, you know that a lot of songs can take several hours to really craft out. So more than anything, if you want to be a songwriter, treat it just like wanting to be a professional musician in terms of learning an instrument, and treat it with that same kind of ferocity, and practice the craft of songwriting just as much as those pro musicians are practicing their instruments. Just practice songwriting, and I promise if you do that, you will get just so much better at actually writing songs. And the beautiful thing about that is then when you actually do have professional opportunities, when you do get to co-write with all these A-list songwriters and all that kind of stuff, they'll like you because you really know what you're doing. And then that matters a whole lot. So yeah, write a lot of songs, practice. And then I would also say, if you really want to be a songwriter, if that's like your just life goal, I would highly encourage you to specialize, meaning are you really good at melody? Are you really good at lyrics? Are you really good at kind of building the track in a writing room? I would encourage you to specialize in one of those areas, but I would also recommend being versatile. And what I mean by that is, can you write a song by yourself? Sometimes in Nashville, Nashville specifically, and in New York and LA, a lot of professional songwriting is very co-writing culture. And sometimes people get this idea in their heads that it's okay. Like, there's these lyricists and there's these people who write awesome or create awesome tracks in Logic or Pro Tools during songwriting sessions. And it's like, if I'm just really good at one of those things, then I'll be able to get in a writing room and, with these other co-writers, and I can just worry about that and, not have to worry about the other stuff, even if I'm not as good at it. And that can work. And there are certainly people in the industry who operate like that. But at the same time, people who do specialize in lyrics, for instance, almost all of them can play an instrument really, really well. There are people who are awesome at writing melodies, but they're typically really, really good at something like playing piano or playing guitar, or they can just totally work a session in Logic like it's nobody's business, even though they're, quote, melody specialists. A lot of times roles, even in a writing room, can kind of change around. And I bring all this up because yes, like professional songwriting really is about co-writing, but you are going to be a better songwriter if you are capable of writing amazing songs totally by yourself. And what I mean by that is if you can put yourself in a writing room and not be reliant on, I can't write a song because I don't have a lyricist here, or I can't write a song because I don't have someone building the track, or I'm not really good at hooks or melodies and so I can't write a song. Like, you just never ever want to limit yourself to that. If you feel that kind of struggle, my answer for you is get better. Yes, you want to specialize, but sometimes it makes a lot of sense to, if you have weaknesses, to shore up those weaknesses. And so learn to write awesome songs totally on your own. And then two huge advantages to that. Number one, when you actually get in a writing room, you can communicate, like say you are specialized in track, but you have someone who's better at melody in there. You and the melody person can talk shop a lot easier because you both understand each other's roles. Or rather, at least you understand their role. And then the other really great thing is, if a song ever ends up incomplete in a co-writing session, if you need to be the one to finish it on the back end, you can totally finish it up all on your own, which can be a really big deal because sometimes it's really difficult to schedule another session with the co-writers depending on who they were. And then, of course, you are able to, if you have all the skill sets and can write songs totally on your own, then that means when you are in a co-write, maybe this person who specializes in this thing couldn't make it that day, and you can be adaptable, and the songwriting session doesn't have to fall apart because you know how to take over all the different roles in a co-write. So yeah, overall, get really, really good at not necessarily writing songs on your own, but having the capability and know-how to be able to do that if you ever needed to. Don't let a weakness overtake you and keep you from being able to take on any role in a songwriting situation. So when it comes to having a career as a songwriter, pretty much there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, you're going to want to have a publisher. If you don't have a publisher, there's a lot of things that especially down the road, are going to be tricky. Of course, to get a publisher, you need to attract a publisher, or you need to make a publisher interested in you. You got to be good enough for that. And one of the things that can really help, it can be difficult for a lot of publishers to see just, quote, raw potential, which a lot of people feel like they have. But if a publisher sees that you've actually gotten cuts on other people's records and you've been a part of a lot of projects, then that's definitely something that a publisher can take seriously. So maybe you're releasing your own songs, and that can definitely be really good if you're, kind of your own artist too, and you release your own songs. Or maybe you just get with other people. Maybe you can mentor some younger people. A lot of young people really, really want to get into music. And if you can, start something in your community where you're literally mentoring younger people and helping them write songs. Maybe you could help them release those songs. And definitely kind of the more that you just network, go to industry events, hang out in Nashville, connect with people online, just all this kind of stuff. And just literally get better at the craft of songwriting yourself. Because if you're a really good songwriter, other songwriters are going to want to write with you. Quite frankly, if you're not as good of a songwriter, there might be other reasons, but a lot of times people don't get in songwriting rooms with other people because their skill sets just don't match up, and that's just the unfortunate reality of it. And so the way to fix that is to just improve your skill set. So if you work to that level, and then you are kind of getting in the room with other people, and maybe it's just a whole bunch of independent artists and smaller projects at first, and that's totally fine. But jump on those, and I will say a lot of, especially independent artists who also don't have publishers, a lot of times they can be pretty weird about co-writing, and the reason for that is because when you're splitting the royalties to a song, or the share percentage of a song. Say you have two writers, and that means each of you get a 50-50 split of that song, basically. That can be scary for a lot of independent artists because that's more paperwork, more headache, more stuff to deal with. And so if you run into cases like that where you kind of get the vibe that that's more why the artist doesn't want to write with you versus just that they don't like you or something, then I would encourage you to offer to just have basically no royalty share of the song. Just say, look, like I would love to keep my name on the song, but you can have all the publishing for it. You can keep all the publishing. I can sign all my publishing rights to you. Then that way you don't need to worry about any tracking or paying me or anything like that. And I think a lot of independent artists would be a lot more susceptible to that kind of idea, because the reality is, especially if they're a smaller artist who's not going to have, just massive radio success or anything like that, they're not going to make a whole lot of money from their songs anyway. And so if you're giving up your, quote, publishing rights for that song, you're not losing a lot of money anyway. Money is not the goal at that stage. Your goal is to get a publishing deal, and then hopefully through the publishing deal, and it'll take a while after you have the publishing deal, but hopefully at that point you can actually build up such a or build to a point where you are having some major releases that are bringing in money, like real money. But yeah, prior to that, like worrying about money splits, any of that kind of stuff, it's just not worth it. What you want to do is you want to attach your name to songs, because that's what publishers will pay attention to. So that's definitely a solid strategy to get some cuts. The important thing right now is to focus on that and get your name out there. At that point, once you kind of feel like you've established yourself and you have some cuts under your belt and some solid releases and maybe some songs that you've been a part of have done well on Spotify and all that kind of thing, now you have a real story and you have some real credibility that you can bring to publishing companies. And you can try cold emailing them. Occasionally that works, but not recommended overall. The best option is to meet them in person, whether that's an industry event or something like that. Another really good strategy for meeting publishers is, especially if you are establishing yourself and you're getting in writing rooms and you're being a part of the quote songwriting scene, is you can hopefully co-write with people who are published songwriters, with people who have publishing deals. And if you're doing that, first of all, the publisher will see your name just because you'll be attached to the songs that other songwriter's turning in. But maybe you could even ask that songwriter that you're co-writing with, especially if you guys have a good vibe and you're becoming friends, if they believe in what you're doing and they really like you, maybe they could introduce you to their publisher. 100%. The best way to have a shot with a publisher is if you get referred by someone. If someone else believes in you and they put their neck out on the line to bring you to that publisher, that's going to speak so much more volumes, and the publisher is going to pay so much more attention to that than if you just sent like a cold email or something like that. Other options, because maybe you're not able to get in those co-writing rooms with professionals, and that's just not happening for you. Become friends and get mentorship from industry pros in whatever way that you can. We have an artist that we work with now. His name is Jordan St. Cyr, and I just love what he says about this as far as it relates to money. But he's like, look, like if you don't have other things that you can bring to the table, if you don't have clout, all this credibility, all these this notoriety that makes other people want to work with you, then maybe literally what you can bring to the table is money. Money is literally just a form of value. And in this kind of relationship, it's all about exchanging value. And if you don't have value that you can bring to a publisher or another co-writer or a music industry mentor on another level, then maybe the value that you can bring is monetary. And I bring that up specifically because, and I'm not pushing this at all, but at Full Circle Music, we do have coaching programs where you can pay to get ongoing monthly coaching from music industry professionals. And by all means, if they end up really, really liking what you're working on, these guys have the ears of publishers and publishing companies, and if they really, really, really believe in what you're doing, they can totally pass it along. And coming from someone like that, again, would just be so much more powerful than just a random cold email or whatever. And the last thing I'll say, and I don't want this to feel like a hard push at all, I literally just want you guys to know that this is out there and available as a resource. At Full Circle Music, we deal with a lot of songwriters. There's so many people who move to Nashville or just cross paths with us, and they're like, I just want to be a songwriter. And it really is hard to help them because so much of it is, there's a lot of things that are intertwined in the path to becoming a songwriter. But one of the most important things is truly the skill set. If you are just really, really, really good at writing songs, at a bare minimum, that's step one. There are steps after that, but just the art, the craft of songwriting, just getting absurdly good at that is really the first thing that you got to do if you want to be a pro songwriter. And so we had all these songwriters coming to us, and they're like, man, I don't know how to get my songwriting to the next level, or there's all these things I'm missing, like, could you help me out? And we just haven't had time to invest in other songwriters like that. We just keep having to turn people away. And so we finally decided to do something about that. And we created a full, robust, complete, absurdly holistic songwriting course. That said, it's decently expensive because it's definitely meant only for people who really want to be professional, serious songwriters. So the course, it's called Song Chasers, and it does cost $997. But I'll have a link down to that in the description below if you'd like to check that out. If songwriting really is your dream, that is the absolute best resource. We spent an insane amount of time and energy. The course itself is over 15 hours long. I think the course analyzes or features over 150 different songs. It is robust. And so the mission of the course really is to empower songwriters and allow them to pursue this career, and whatever weaknesses or things they're not sure about or mysteries there are to songwriting, we want this course to clear that up and just make the path and the skill set so clear to whoever takes it. So again, absolutely no pressure. That there's a lot of other ways to do research and learn songwriting, but we do think that that it's the most powerful and efficient resource we've ever seen out there on the internet. So again, if you want to check that out, link in the description down below. All right, thanks for watching. If you learned something, if this video was helpful to you, we really would appreciate it if you would go down there and hit that like button. It's super quick, super easy, super simple, and it does make us more friendly with the YouTube, so that would be awesome. But more importantly, we're actually doing a whole lot more videos just like this one, where we are answering the internet's top questions about the music industry. And so if you aren't subscribed to our channel and it sounds like you would love to hear our answers to some other questions, then please subscribe so that way you don't miss those. Also, speaking of questions, if you have any more questions, maybe there was something you weren't sure about regarding this video, or you're wondering about a completely different topic in the music industry, go ahead, go down to that comment section and write your question and let us know what's up, and we would be happy to get back to you and answer that, or maybe even make a future video about it. The last thing that I want to let you know is that at Full Circle Music, our team has created an awesome resource for you, totally free, and it's just a free mini training class that teaches you exactly what to do if you really want to have a career in the music industry. So if you would like to check out that free class, and again, it's totally for free, you can click right over here, and if you click on that button, then you should get immediate access to that class, and that would be really cool. Or if you would rather go and check out another video that answers a top question about the music industry, you can do that by clicking right up there.